Pretty cool. Welcome to Toronto Comicon, guys. How's it going so far? Yeah. So we're going to open the floor to audience questions in just a sec. So I don't think we have like a mic out there, but just toss up your hand and stand up, and we'll all focus on you very intently and ask a question. But first off, we saw a little bit of a reminder there of where we left off with season 1. Obviously, it was a fantastic cliffhanger, that amazing last moment. Michelle, what can you tell us, spoiler-free, about where we pick up with season 2? Feel free to obfuscate and skate another question.
Thank you for that. Yeah, when you end on a cliffhanger, it's kind of hard to say anything that is not a spoiler. But it is all answered fairly quickly. We have a really, really fun first episode back that I think we're all very proud of. There's some new characters we introduce. And throughout the season, all the riddles and mysteries and sexiness that we're chasing at the end of that finale guide us through this entire second season. So all questions, well, most questions will be answered. But not right away.
Hannah, what did you think of that last moment, that incredible, intense last moment? You know, obviously you and Johnny are absolutely hell-bent on finding Davin. So what did you think when you read that, and what's going through her mind in that moment?
Yeah, hells yeah. I mean, there's just determination, and I mean, we're a team, and as soon as we're split up, it's like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? We need to get back together again. We're like glue. So there was definitely determination and willpower to find Davin.
Yeah. Cool. Did everybody have their water from AJ? You're doing a great job there, buddy.
It's so uneven.
That's not a water. It's gin. Luke, what did you think when you read that final page in the script, or that final moment, and you realized that level 6, Arkin? What were your thoughts?
Well, I thought, well, that's it. I guess I. And the most popular character stabs his brother, beats up with beautiful hands. You know, it's like what Hannah was saying. I want the team to be together. I think that's when I certainly feel like happiest on shows when we're all kind of kicking ass together. So it was terrifying. No actor wants to read that they're vanished somewhere. Don't know where it is.
I like kicking ass together. That could almost be like the subtitle of the show.
Yeah.
Killjoys kicking ass together. Aaron, such a wonderful season for Johnny, and an amazing arc. What did you think of where we left off with him at the end of season 1?
As far as the show?
Yeah, and what's his kind of state of mind? Because he's gone through a very different sort of arc this season.
Yeah. Well, I think that he was. That's an excellent question.
I'm a journalist.
I know. I mean, I think that there's some really interesting stuff, and I think the science of it, and like this whole DNA pattern, this whole level 6, I think that really intrigues and worries Johnny, because it's like, oh boy, what we're really into something heavy here. But I remember watching it, and that whole like Red 17 Dav looking up over this thing and like the pull away an Arkin, and I was like, wow. It's one thing to read, but then to see it all put together, I was like, wow, this is really, really crazy. So I was excited. Johnny was frightened.
So we gotta ask, and I think I maybe tried the same question last time we were on a panel together. Are we going to see much more of Arkin in this new season? Are we going to get to explore it some?
Yes.
In what sort of detail?
Well, obviously, from shooting season 1, you have your time away, then coming back together for season 2. What are you guys, in terms of your character, excited for us to see, or for you, that you got to explore this season? Luke?
They're all mad at me because I'm not on social media. So they're like, well, you have to answer all the questions.
You're so mysterious.
I'm really not. I'm just a terrible typer. I can't spell very well, so.
At least you have one flaw.
I also stabbed my brother. It's pretty bad. I totally forgot the question.
What were you excited about exploring in season 2 in terms of your character?
Oh, what's happening with Davin in season 2? Well, I think, in all seriousness, it was so much of, I think, his journey is figuring out where he belongs. He was a member of the military, and you know where you belong in the military. And then coming into this group and really not knowing, kind of in a group of individuals, how you fit in, and kind of having some missteps along the way. Missy and stabbing my brother again. So I get it in my comic. But I feel like season 2 is really him in a much more clear way figuring out how he fits into a group and how he comes to terms with some of his ideas about who he is and letting certain things go and learning certain things. So that was a little bit of psychology on that.
No, it's great.
That's good. How about yourself?
Well, I mean, for Dutch, obviously, the first and foremost thing is let's find David. But for Dutch as well, is to get to the bottom of Red 17 and Arkham and Klein and where she fits in with all of this. And definitely her relationship with John as well. And kind of that's going to be interesting as well.
Relationship.
No, relationship. Sorry. Oh, no. Friendship. Yeah, friendship.
Morgan Hoffman stirring the pot since 1987.
I didn't read that episode. Yeah, I think one of the really interesting things that happens in season 2 is sort of the dynamics of the characters that were very well established and we know sort of start to shift based on some of the things that are happening. So I think that that's really interesting to see these dynamics change and how we have to still work together and fit together. And I think that was one of the really interesting things about the first season 2 as far as the characters go, is just how they sort of fit together and things begin to change a little bit into season 2. So I think that's a really interesting thing to see how this team works together and doesn't work together and all those different things.
Michelle, these shows come together by the crews that bring them to life, and obviously there's more than just you writing these episodes. You get a team that you work with, but overseeing it, what were some of the words that or themes that you sort of gave to your writers' room, inspiration that you wanted to explore in this new season? Can you tease us with your thoughts in that kind of abstract way so we don't get too specifically spoiled?
Shit, man. You are brutal.
AJ's a journalist.
I would say that I'm not often a writer that comes specifically from theme in terms of that's a quest or something that I want to bend my characters to. I'm interested in who these guys are as real people. Well, I mean, they're versions of real people, they're fictional versions, and what their relationships are. And so we had a really firm story first season, obviously had a very clear conclusion. So we had a starting point, and from that the joy is just trying to figure out, the thing I usually look for when we're breaking in the room is, what is fun about this episode? What is emotional about this episode? And because I'm a visual person, what is the image that's going to stay with me? And so typically as we go through, that's what the writers and I are trying to find. And I think that's sort of emblematic of a typical Killjoys episode. It's going to be fun, it's going to be emotional, and there's going to be some cool sci-fi visual aspect of it. And we have some very novel ones this year. Very novel for us. And I think we've stretched ourselves as a show to come up with some new cool sort of fun things for everyone.
When you say when we're breaking in the writer's room, is that like breaking
My
the
soul,
story?
my soul,
Breaking your
everything,
soul?
yes. At that point, it's like 4 in the morning and everybody's very tired and we're just breaking. No, it's basically the process of coming up with these episodes. As you said, it's a huge team effort, and we all sit in there and we're like, what's going to be fun this episode? What do we want to do? And we start there, and I like to come at it usually from a world. Episode 1, we clearly, you guys know, are like, what's a fun world to go in? And it looks really cool. So we start a little bit from that, then we insert them and we say, what chaos can we cause this? And we are so mean to you repeatedly. I always apologize in read-throughs because Luke has to say something this year that's either like really, really dirty or awkward, or we're like abusing him. Last year we're putting you in things, and so often in the process of it, that's you take a character in places that are fun as a writer, then you're really sorry.
I got to that point. I was given a case of beer by one of our special effects person because he had to repeatedly do something to me that was so horrible. And he felt so bad about it. And I was like, oh no, it's fine, we can do it again. The camera's like, we need another one. I was like, oh, okay, we can do it again. And let's just say it involved a lot of cleanup.
Oh! We would have said, oh, about anything. Oh my goodness, yeah. Comicon is all about you guys, it's all about the fans, so let's open it up to the floor for questions. But really quickly, Luke mentioned social media, which he's not on and he totally should be on. But if we don't get to your questions today, or just in general, if you have any questions for the cast or for Michelle, you can tweet and use the hashtag at @AskTheKilljoys. Ask the Killjoys is the hashtag, and people will try to get to your questions. But I'm sorry.
Can I jump in with one question before we go to the crowd?
Yeah, go.
I think we might all be wondering about this.
Is it about your hair? We already talked about your hair.
No, it's not about my hair.
Your hair looks
Stop
great.
making it about me, Teddy.
Well, it's good hair.
It's about Hannah, and actually about Morgan and Aaron and I, because we had this amazing night where we all went and saw Star Wars together. Has anyone not seen Star Wars: The Force Awakens yet? How are you at the convention? Science fiction. There's like a ripple in the space-time fabric created by this anomaly. Well, I'm going to spoil one aspect of the film, and that is Hannah's in the movie. And Morgan and I, we were chatting with Aaron and Hannah before the film, and then we're watching the movie, and then we're like, wait, was that?
No, like, we were really loud. Everyone's, so excited to see the movie. The lights were all watching it, and we were both like, whoa, 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 was that Hannah? Like,
But it was pretty quick, but then we checked the credits, and we're like, oh my god, we know someone in Star Wars! So I gotta ask, before we go to the floor, we will go to your question about how did that come about, and what was it like being on the set of The Force
Okay,
Awakens?
it was amazing. It was so much fun, and I mean, it was my first spaceship I was ever in, and it was amazing traveling from one universe to the other because I remember I did Killjoys after it, and it was kind of insane. And I remember when I was filming, you just see like a stormtrooper eating a sandwich, and you're like, just another day at the office. And it was great. It was really, really good.
Wait, did you say you filmed it before Killjoys?
I did.
You kept that a secret from us for this long?
I
Oh my
did.
god!
I did. Still does. Yeah, we're really good
happened?
friends.
Did J.J. Abrams just like call you?
Well, no, I did. I auditioned for it, back in the UK, and it was so secret. It was top secret. I remember I actually got there, and I didn't even know what I was going to do for a good week. And but J.J. Abrams is amazing on set, and he's really in there in the thick of it, and he's such a fan as well. And it was amazing to work with the director. He's such a fan of it, and we were all just like nerding out together on set. And it was great. It was really fun.
We know someone in Star Wars! Did you see Daniel Craig as a stormtrooper eating a sandwich at all?
No, I would have loved to, but I didn't get to see Daniel
Wasn't
Craig.
it that day?
Yeah.
Bond was a stormtrooper.
We will go to the floor. Sorry about that. Let's go right here in the front
No,
row.
it's a good question. Hey.
Hi guys. So the show is really action-packed, right? So either in the first season or the second season, what is your favorite action scene to do?
For those in the back, the question was favorite action scene in season 1 to shoot?
Or two.
Or 2, with details. Yeah, JJ said, why was it so messy? The scene you shot,
Oh, that's
the Luke scene.
yeah.
Can't tell us
That
that.
wasn't necessarily an action scene.
You said too much. Aaron, did you have a favorite moment or even a favorite episode in season 1? Was there a moment or a subplot for you and Johnny that really stood out?
Well, as far as action stuff, probably.
And you can probably say one or two. I'm trying to think through the action ones, and I don't think there's anything that's gonna destroy anything.
Well, now I have to think of that. The most fun action sequence I thought in the first season was in episode 4, where with all the vessels, when we come kicking out the door and Dutch has a flamethrower,
Yeah.
and the girls are just like kicking ass, and then Jenny blows herself up. That was my favorite. I don't know, there's just like the visuals of that, of these women in dresses just like shooting everybody and the flamethrower, and that was definitely my favorite action sequence, all put together, yeah.
That's the image that sticks in my head.
Yeah.
Flamethrowers and pregnant.
But inside, we all have been joking about it ever since because Jenny is such a teenager. You're like, Jenny, calm down. Like, just give him 2 minutes to start the car. She's, no, I got this. I'm gonna explode myself. It's okay.
It's like, really, it's just flooded. I just have to give it a minute.
Hannah, did you have a favorite kind of ass-kicking moment for Dutch?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many exactly. I mean, which was the favorite one? But I mean, for me, I remember just fighting in a dress and heels for me, and having that real badass moment, just like taking down all these guys, but I can do it in heels and a dress.
Do you ever get like a stunt dress made for you? Like, do they make it in the sense that it's actually you can move your legs and?
That's the amazing thing. Trish, the costume is amazing because they absolutely designed it so there's shorts underneath and it's like designed to split open and so that I can move around with modesty.
Stunt dress. Luke and Aaron, do you ever put on Hannah's heels just to see how hard, not like at home, but how hard it would be to fight in those heels?
Not yet, but I still got a couple episodes to go. So.
I think you should.
Morgan, do you leave your high heels in our mutual change room? Because
I put them on sometimes. They make you taller. Luke, did you have a favorite kind of action-based or butt-kicking moment at all?
You know, it's hard to say this, but I thought it was so well choreographed. Was the fight that Hannah and I had together after we had sex. I thought it was it was very painful and sad and brutal. And I thought it was really well shot. Yeah.
What kind of reaction did you guys get with that scene on social media? Because I know for me, my whole mouth was like, the whole time I was watching it, it was so intense. What kind of reaction did you guys get?
Well, definitely everyone who reacted to that fight was a jaw-dropping moment of, oh my God, because it just comes out of nowhere, and that's a surprise, you know. But for me, for Dutch, which I have to explain, is Dutch can kill him. She can kill him. She's level 5. She can kill him. So you've got to remember that in the fight is not. She can take it down, and even in between, she says, "Look, I don't want to kill you. I can kill you, but I don't want to." It's just, I suppose, it's the shock of the moment, which is the shock. But what we've got to remember is that Dutch can kill him, kick his ass. Yeah, it does.
It does. Really good. Another question from the crowd? Hello. Hey. You. How's it going?
Good.
Good.
This question is for Michelle. Actually, as a creator and writer, you've come to a lot of Comicon panels. And I just wondered how important is
You want me to stop?
Really good. Thanks, no.
I just wondered because a lot of creators and writers don't come to conventions and talk to the fans, and I think it's really important that they do, and I wonder why you feel that way.
The question was about why Michelle feels passionately as a creator about coming to conventions and meeting fans.
This will sound really dorky, but I'm usually so busy writing and have a hard time getting on set, so I get to hang out with them when I'm at panels. And I love them, so it's fun. It's two reasons. One is I value fans. I mean, the fact that all of you have spent time out of your day to do anything you want and you chose to come here, we all really appreciate. And I am a fan. I think that if you're a genre writer, first and foremost, you were originally a geek that was into the same stuff, that wanted to watch the same things. Otherwise, you can't do this, certainly not as consistently as I have, right? So the reality is I don't like crowds. They kind of freak me out. So I don't go to these things unless I'm on a panel because flop, sweat, and terror, and too many people. That aside, the thing about it is that I get to come here now and I get to see the people I would normally only see online and be a part of it. And then the flip side of that is I really believe in the importance of writers to the process. The reason I'm in television is that television values that. And they don't value it in film, which is something I disagree with. So for me, this is a chance for us to say, you know what, these stories come from somewhere and they mean something very personal to a lot of us that write them. And the team that we have, you know, that are also putting the words in the mouths of these very talented people who then bring it to life in a way that it couldn't on a dry page. So it is absolutely a team effort, but the whole team needs to be recognized. And as much as I don't feel comfortable often, I think that that is what I am obligated to do as a writer. So.
Obviously, with your other work, including on Lost Girl, you've been part of this kind of genre, a sci-fi genre community for years. Have you noticed a growth or a change or a strengthening at all in the community over the last 5 to 10 years?
I don't get made fun of anymore. I think, honestly, when I first started it, it was what I got into by choice. I got into Mutant X. Thank you to the people that brought me into that. No, I wasn't like, thank you. But to the writers writers that gave me that entree. I appreciate it because that was my opening the door, but I would often run into other writers that were, my same age. I started quite young, who would sort of very blatantly look down on it, like, oh, well, you just took a job. I'm like, dude, I took a job where people shoot electricity out of their hands. Like, that is amazing. And nobody asks me about it anymore. Because it is something that all of us now are able to do, keep our heads high and say, we're having fun, we're on a spaceship, this is amazing, let's all go do it, and nobody's like, nerd. Well, I mean, they are, but like with a little bit more love. Yeah, nerd! So I think that is a really lovely change, but it will change again, and I don't care. This is what I love to do, and it doesn't matter. As long as there's a person willing to fund it, this is the world, and I think you guys as well want to be in. So.
I know.
Last year at the Fan Expo, I believe it was, we had a panel, and the lady that voiced Lucy was on the panel. Are we going to see her in some sort of form, like hologram or something like that, in season 2, or is she still just going to be a voice?
Are you reading our scripts?
Everybody get that? The question was about Lucy, the voice of the spaceship.
Luke?
Yes. There is a form. The digital mind becomes form.
I was going to ask Aaron what was it like getting back together with Lucy season 2.
Why would you assume that would happen?
Like, that's your first thought. It's instantly like, yeah.
John does love his tech, but you guys will have to just tune in and see.
Aaron, in general, why do you think Lucy, or what role do you think Lucy plays on the show, other than just being the physical spaceship? Why is she an important element to the series?
Well, I think that, she really is the fourth Killjoy in a lot of ways, and I think she's sort of facilitates so much of what we have to do in this world, right? Everything sort of we have to get around and we have to figure all this stuff out, and she sort of helps us with that. But I don't know, the interesting thing to me, and I wasn't sure where it was going to go sort of in the first season about, this ship and this AI and stuff, but there's like a genuine sort of character there. And I think the connection, hey Sean, how are you? Sneaking in, eh? Not so sneaky, pal. It's just sort of a really interesting character, and I think that she's sort of grown, and I think that that's really interesting, and I think the connection that the two of them have. I think John treats her not as a machine or as a computer, but more so as just another person. I think that's where their connection comes from, is that he just has a lot of respect for her, which is sort of maybe bizarre, but also really interesting.
So I wanted to first off say, I feel that watching the show, the cast, you're so involved in the character, that's it. It just makes it so enjoyable to watch. And Michelle, you said at the previous panel that you got so involved in this world that you created. And I wanted to know how much of that you share with the cast. Do you know the direction that it's going in? And as actors, do you want to?
The question was about how much Michelle knows about where the series is going overall.
This is when they tell me I'm not doing my job, right? But like, I wanted to know more, but
How much do you share with the cast about either the greater world or where we're headed potentially?
I sort of leave it a little bit to the actors. Aaron asked at the top of the season to come in and sort of talk about, before we shot, where he was going and a sense of his arc. Same with cuts. There's sometimes that some of you will want to see one, and everybody's got a different process. So, to me, it also depends the point in the season that you're in, because some things are fungible and flexible, and so we don't want to tell them things that we're like, oh, like if I were to say, Aaron, you died, this is obviously a joke, you died in episode 4, and then I'm like, just kidding, we changed that, then they've gone on the wrong direction.
Thank God you rewrote
Right?
it.
So, it's a mutual relationship, I think, that evolves between us over the seasons, and hopefully we have many, many more of what helps, what hurts. And some people, and you guys can speak to this most, some people like to have that surprise. of this is the character didn't know anything more than this, and they want to come at it organically, and other people are like, hey, just spoil me, I want to know.
Hannah, what's your process with Dutch? What do you prefer?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you just said, is my character doesn't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, so I can't predict what is going to happen, and I'm afraid if I know too much that I'm going to play the end, and I don't want to. I want to keep definitely the mystery there. I mean, obviously if there are some questions of, you know, well, where are we going with this? Like that's absolutely questions that I would definitely ask and but yeah, it's that mystery that, and this rings home.
I'm always curious as actors, as fans, we love watching a new episode. It's like opening a present every week. It's like a treat. For you guys, when you get a script and you get the script, what's that process like for you? Are you excited to read it? Do you read it in a coffee shop? Do you read it at home? Are you like, is it a moment of kind of revelation for you reading it like it is for us as fans?
For me, I can't wait to get the scripts because everything is always so, there's always questions that are sort of, sort of asked, and you want to see the next thing so bad. And I can't say that it's been like that for me on all shows that I've done. It's really not. I'm just like, yeah, okay, cool, I'll get to it when I can. But literally, every time the script comes out, like I've sometimes been bugged. Like I do like to know what's happening. I just do like in a broader scope. There's also like, to me, like to facilitate where you're going. It's kind of nice for me to think about it a lot. And then obviously, you can't play all those things, but just to really have it in your mind. But yeah, like I can't wait. We just got one of like the 9th episode,
Yeah.
and usually we get them a little bit sooner. So I was chomping at the bit. I would like email them like, when are we gonna get it? When are we gonna get it? Because you just really want to know what happens, and that's a really nice feeling to be excited to see what happens next. And again, like not all shows that I've done, I felt like that. So this is, I think it's special in that way.
Thank you.
And also, I feel like I should say, there's also something really special about reading the scripts that you might not always understand. Like, there's a lot of stuff written in between just the words we say, which are really funny. They read almost like little books, when they're trying to describe a mood, whether that's to a network person or to a camera person. It'll be like, Dutch walks down the hallway looking hot as hell. Really fun to read. It feels like a little short story.
I remember that. We got some of the scripts before we saw the episodes. I was like, these are really funny scripts. I don't know how to say it any other way, but they were pretty awesome to read. Back to the floor. Any more? Well, go with Tim.
Hey, Tim. What lessons have you guys learned while working on Killjoy?
So the question was, what lessons have you learned on working on Killjoys?
All right, there's many ways to answer that. There's sort of always like, I think as actors, there's always like the lessons you learn as an actor, and I can be very sort of specific and be like, I never knew I enjoyed doing fight scenes so much in Killjoy. So that was something I learned. But then I also think I learned how to have a different relationship with like a showrunner, because this whole kind of not really knowing where it's all going has kind of been new to me, and I've kind of learned to be a little bit more kind of go with the flow in the process. So yeah.
I think I really learned how to have fun in a lot of ways, because for me, like as an actor, it's like I always enjoyed acting, but this show has felt very like inclusive, like for us. A lot of other shows this is the first time like I've been on a show from the start, one of the lead characters. So like I've come into a lot of shows like halfway through, and sort of you're kind of trying to feel your way out, and a lot of things have already been set in place. But I think for this show, coming in at the beginning was just really exciting, and so you really feel like you're part of it. So I think, yeah, I just learned to just like have fun and just go along with the process, and that's really nice, because that's what it should be. And it is, it's always fun, but I just think this one I've really just learned to have a good time.
I learned how to be tough. I think for me it was coming in and the strength of the character and taking on the role of Dutch. I mean, it requires strength from the inside, physical strength, fights, emotional strength with the guys, and I think for me, yeah, it's learning how to be a badass and tough and being a tough cookie. And and I'm tough cookie. Tough cookie. Yeah, that's a British term. Tough biscuit. Dutch is a tough biscuit.
Yeah, let's go to the floor because we have a couple more questions we can get to. Oh, wait, where are you going?
Me? Yeah, hi.
Hey.
Thank God you guys are coming back for season 2, by the way.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask, it's kind of an AU question. How do you think, because Davin coming into the show, the dynamic between Dutch and John have changed a lot. So how do you think it would have changed if Dutch had met Davin first and then John came in later?
How would the dynamic on Killjoys be different if Dutch and Davin had met first and then Johnny came into the mix afterwards? Yeah, great question.
We would be like, I don't know, really, really dysfunctional couple.
I don't think there would. This is for you. I don't even know if there'd be a show. No, and I can speak to Davin. I think so much which is about his sort of process is he kind of felt, at least until he kind of figures a little bit more about himself, is he comes, he kind of does something, he finishes it, and then he kind of moves on. So like, I don't know if we met at the Royal one night. I'd probably just, I might pass her on the street. Maybe pass her chips.
I think it would have been like a really, really hot night. And that's it. I think that the reason, as you say, that we have a show really is the alchemy between the two of you, and I feel like obviously what happened the night before you met. And not you guys, that was different. And Dutch was super vulnerable, and I've always thought that the value of the friendship between the two of you is that Johnny has been able to come to Dutch and associate with her as like child to child. None of you had a very clear childhood. And this innocence, what I love about an episode that Jeremy Boxen wrote is God, which was that 8, when you guys are on the bed reading the comic and your feet are up, and I'm like, that's the core to me of that friendship, is that they're, innocent. And I think you two are not, which is awesome. But I think that it means that the two of you needed something to keep you together, to allow yourself to have any sort of a relationship, because you can't run from each other the way you normally would.
I like that.
Oh, cool. We only have time for one more audience question, so who has what feels like an epic audience wrap-up question? Not to put pressure on you.
No pressure.
But who has
No one's
epic audience wrap-up question? It's all you.
I want to know, for all 3 cast members, when you first got the script, what was it about the character that attracted you? And who's the gangster?
It's a great question. Yeah. So the question was, when the actors first got the script, what attracted them most to the character, and who is the biggest prankster? And what attracted you to Dutch the most?
Well, you had me at Dutch. What a name. What a name. Obviously strong female, badass character with internal emotion and also sass. She is so sassy. I love her so much. And witty and the relationship with the boys. And so yeah, in short terms, sexy, sassy, badass, fun, action, biscuit.
Sounds pretty perfect to me.
To be perfectly honest with you, there was, as an openly gay person, well, no, I think that, and who is an actor, I feel always like I'm going to somehow be limited. I don't know if I put those limitations on myself or if those are put on me. I'm not really prepared to talk about that, or if I can even answer that question. But when I read this character who's so clearly not gay, I wanted to do that, and I wanted to be told that I could do that. So when I read the script and I got that opportunity, I was like, this is the greatest version of that kind of guy I really want to be and want to play. So.
And you nail it. For me, I read the first scene of the first episode. That was the thing that I auditioned with. And it's probably like a 3.5 or 4 page scene, something like that. And just reading that had me wanting to do it because there's so much that was going on, and there's this amazing sort of flip of dynamics that happens in this first scene that makes you just be like, what is this show going to be like? It's not what you expect. And I think that was really what excited me, was just that I could tell that this was not going to be something that was going to be run-of-the-mill or that you could just put your finger on. And I think that's the one thing that really, really excited me about the idea of this show and these characters.
Who's the biggest prankster?
I think we're all just a bunch of goofballs. I don't know if we're like pranksters, but we're incredibly goofy, like all the time. So.
We sing. Oh, how we sing.
I was gonna say, like, sometimes before takes, we're laughing like in that like horrible like, I feel like I get sweaty. We're about to film. I feel like I'm Boop Rose and my eyes are red. Like that happens every day.
Every day. We all have the same sense of humor as well. So one of us will start, and then it'll be and it's like, who's gonna go too far today?
Well, no, I think we know who that is, Hannah.
And a lot of singing. What's popular? Do you sing heavy metal on set, show tunes?
I'm hoping theater.
What is it? Yeah.
There's a country album that may be being released later in 2016, so stay tuned.
We gotta wrap it up in a sec, but just before we do, the young woman in the middle, talked about being grateful for season 2, and one of you said thank you to her and to the other fans. Before we get to season 2 and before we wrap it up here, what do you want to say to the hardcore fan base of Killjoys, some of whom are here today?
Luke?
Okay, I'll say other than, as we've said, thank you for your support, thank you for being here. I think what we would like to say is we really hope, I don't come at television from the perspective of thinking, Joe in Peoria, what does he want? I gotta answer that because I don't know him. And that's hard at 4 in the morning. So our obligation first and foremost is this is the litmus test. First it's with the writers, then it's with the actors and our really hilarious read-throughs. But ultimately the goal is always to please you. We want everybody to feel that this is a show that gets them and that they get. And then that won't be for everybody. And again, it's terrible to say as a creator who has to care about numbers, but I don't give a shit. I want you to love it. This is for you. And we can promise that we have had even more fun with second season. We've gone even scarier, darker, more emotional places, more hilarious worlds. We've had some very funny writers added to the team, and we really hope that this fun little Killjoys gift that we hand off to you to season 2 is something that you enjoy as much as we did.
Awesome. You excited? We do have to wrap it up now, but when we came in, the first 100 people were given tickets. Those are for a Killjoys autograph session that's going to be happening now, right after this panel, in the main Toronto Comicon autograph area. If you don't know where that is, just ask someone. I'm sorry, it's a photo. I've been told by people who know more than me. It's a photo session, so go to the photo area. If you don't know where that is, just ask a Toronto Comicon staff member. We're going to have lots of great coverage of season 2 of Killjoys on Interspace, so tune in every Monday to Friday, 6 and 11.
Now we're putting you on the spot!
Oh! I'm sure we'll announce that very soon on Interspace. And again, hashtag Ask the Killjoys for any questions on social media. Anything I missed, buddy?
We got a Dark Matter panel coming up at 3 o'clock.
That's right.
And our autograph session is at 1.
We're doing autographs at 1. So thank you so much for coming to Toronto Comic Con.
Give it up for the Killjoys!